Let's hear it again for the Freedom Affair. This kind of feels like a panel discussion. You guys all up here. So I do have some hard-hitting questions today. So are you prepared?
Just don't say tariffs.
No politics.
We won't speak that word.
Great.
So thanks to everyone who's joining us today. I'm here with one of Kansas City's premier original bands, a 9-piece soul powerhouse who's releasing their self-titled sophomore album Friday, May the 9th. We're also playing Get My Share in heavy rotation, so if you listen to the Bridge, you've heard it probably a ton of times and it never gets old. We're speaking with 5 of the 9 members of the band today. We've got the Freedom up front, Paula, Sean, and Seiko. I understand we have some nicknames for a couple of the other band members. So we've got Dave and Chris, who are bandettes.
Yes.
Correct.
Do you want to introduce the other members of the band?
Oh, I'll do it. I came up with names for everybody. But no, in all honesty, in all seriousness, Dave and Chris, Chris Hazelton, Dave Brick, they are kind of the band dads, the band leads that came up with the concept of the Freedom Affair. So shout out to them for this great idea, because honestly, they did it. Appreciate you guys. As you've met us, we're the Freedom. We have a bass player and a guitar player. The bass player is Brandon Moser, and a guitar player, Cole Bales. We've affectionately nicknamed them the twins, because you will always see them together. Literally. Like right now, look out there, and they're right there. They are together. And they are incredible in their own right. They also have a band, Blacklight Animals. That is awesome, so if you haven't heard it, check them out. And then we have Pete Carroll and Brett Jackson, who we've nicknamed the Horns, because they are the horn section, and they are incredible at it, and they are actually out there too. So that's the band.
So let's talk about the new album. Follow-up to Freedom is Love, your debut album that came out in 2020. This album was conceived through a 2023 tour through the American South. You had a chance encounter with Boo Mitchell, who runs and engineers Royal Studios. He's worked with the likes of Al Green, Bruno Mars, Mark Ronson. Tell me a little bit about how this encounter informed the album direction.
We had a day off in Memphis, and we went to go take a picture in front of Royal Studios. I think it was Chris's idea. He's like, gotta go take a picture in front of Royal. And the door, this guitarist came up to the door. He was going into a session. We were like, hey, can you come and take a picture of us? And right as I'm asking him that, the door opens, and this guy opens up. I knew it was Boo Mitchell. We all knew it was Boo Mitchell. But I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt your session, but we're just wanted to take a picture. He's like, no, that's all good. You want to come in? Yeah. So from there, we got his number. I bugged him till he got annoyed enough with me that he let us come and rent the studio. Let us pay to go there for 4 days. Yeah.
I would actually say even before that moment, though, we had been on this tour. We'd hit Columbia, St. Louis, Nashville, and then we had a gig in between Nashville and Memphis where we just kind of booked it because we had a couple of open days in Tupelo, Mississippi, and we're like, I guess if we're gonna, just be out we might as well just book a gig. And that ended up being like the most life-changing gig for, I think, our band ever. And it's kind of a realization of when, prior to that, Freedom is Love, and the sound then had been very kind of in the daptone soul kind of vein. And then once we hit Tupelo and we really kind of laid into a little bit more gospelish kind of southern sound and saw how people reacted to it, we're like, oh, we got something here. We probably need to kind of lean into this. And, the chance encounter in Memphis combined with that was kind of where this album came from.
And so, of course, the South is so rich in musical roots, and you touched on, a lot of that stuff there. Muscle Shoals, Memphis soul, gospel, funk, just all of that stuff kind of melded together. And I know that Royal is also one of the oldest continuously operating studios in the U.S. So why was it important for you all to record there? And as well as talking about that Ampex tape recorder that you had used that hadn't been used since 1974.
No, it hadn't. That came with its own quirks and,
PTSD.
yeah. I think it was important for us to stay true to the tradition of this music. We're so inspired by Stax and High Records and all the stuff that came out of Muscle Shoals that we wanted to go to Royal Studios, but the only way we really wanted to do it was to use the equipment that was used on our favorite albums from 1974 and before. So we insisted that that he fixed that, that he fixed the 1-inch, which he did, which he got it running, and then and we used when we were there, we used that. We used every piece of living history that makes up that studio. There are little Easter eggs on our album of like all these little things that we use that just live there, that are sitting in the corner gathering dust, that are on all the songs that we all know and love.
I would also say, and sorry I keep butting in, but part of it is there's 9 very busy musicians from Kansas City in this band. And so from a creative standpoint, we said, okay, if we're ever going to get the next record done, what we need to do is just go out of town, lock ourselves in the studio until the record's done. And that's what we did. We drove down to Memphis as a band. We rented an Airbnb and stayed all in the same house. And then we were in that studio for 4 days straight, and we walked away with a complete record.
Yeah.
You gonna say something?
The one thing I was going to say, to Dave's point, there was all these little Easter eggs. You'll hear different things that were in that studio. One thing we did not touch is Al Green's mic. Not for lack of, we did ask. And he quoted a price that made us all go, oh. And so
It
we
sat in
left
the corner.
That mic sat in the corner.
Beautiful. It was inspiration. We got to look at it while we
admired
recorded. It was
But
nice.
we did not sing on it.
Yes. But the Ann Peebles drum, I
Yes,
think that's a really cool
That
thing
was
that we
cool.
got to
And
use.
the Coke, was it Coke box or something
Yeah.
that y'all had?
Mhm.
Yeah, that was really cool too.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the song "Love and Happiness," you all know the song "Love and Happiness" by Al Green. They stomp on a Coke box. It's like an old school that what they would a pallet basically that they would deliver Coke bottles on. They stomp their foot at the beginning of that song. So in one of the songs on our album, we stomp our foot on that. At the beginning of the last song that we played today, "Don't You Wanna Love Me," we included this Micasonic, really old school electronic percussion instrument. It's from Ann Peebles' "I Can't Stand the Rain," and we put it on one of our songs. So we used it in our own way, but there were all these little things that we were able to repurpose into our own music while we were there.
So I read this, but maybe I'm not correct. Do you know what the last thing recorded on that tape recorder was? Because I thought I saw that it was an Ann Peebles record. We don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Not confirmed.
I don't think Boo knew. I don't think
I'm
he
not
was
sure
sure.
Boo knew, yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Be cool.
But I will say
Go
that we started a trend because since we used it, now we've seen like 3 or 4 other bands that recorded there that have used it now. So
That's great.
the Freedom Affair was first.
You heard it here.
You heard it here first. So yeah, you're using all this vintage gear, but you're creating these fresh sounds out of, timeless. Like I think a lot of us can say that "Freedom Is Love" was such a timeless record, but there's so many fresh musical turns in them, and you also added a few new musical elements on this album. So, for instance, Chris, I know you moved from the bass to your primary instrument of the Hammond B3 organ.
Yep.
And that evokes a lot of that gospel Southern soul sound. But was that intentional? Was that an intentional addition for this recording or for this album, or just a shift in what you want to do as a band?
I'd say both, honestly. I think it was a case of, the sound needed that. And I mean, I played some organ on the first record too, but, from a songwriting standpoint, me being here and Brandon being on the bass, which is his primary instrument, we were all kind of writing better That was really the motivation behind it was the writing.
Sure. And that dovetails into the songwriting process, which I wanted to talk about anyway. So I hear each member's individual talents come through here, and you truly are a collaborative band. So I'd like to know a little more about your songwriting process and what you've discovered about your strengths as a band and as individuals through it.
Well, to compare our first album with our upcoming album, I feel like with the first one, again, it had that kind of Daptones feel. And I feel like we were kind of like teenagers in a garage. We were all enthusiastic. We all had these things to bring to the table. So we literally just brought a whole bunch of songs in, and we were all like, yeah, let's do it. And we put it all on the album, and that was fun. And over time, we started becoming one. We started becoming a family, getting to know each other. And for this upcoming album, I think the name is appropriate, The Freedom Affair, because it truly does embody who we are. Our tastes, kind of meshed more, and we knew who we were. We got our identity down a little bit, and that was from spending time together. So I think what comes through in this album is the fact that we cooked meals together, during our time in Memphis recording. We like each other.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. We can stand to be holed up in the same house for 4 days. So I think that comes through, and also the messages. We all have different walks of life and different lives that we're living, but we all really want to be able to get along, and we want to be able to express just our thoughts and our heart about just humans just loving each other and being together. So I think that kind of formulated our second album.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the oneness that you're talking about and that idea of community, it really comes through on this album. It comes through in your live performances. And one thing I've noticed about the band is that the music is so well orchestrated. It feels so intentional, but at the same time, I know the band came together in a very organic way. And Dave and Chris, I would love for you two to talk about how that all started.
Yeah, I was moving. I grew up in Kansas City, but I had lived in the San Francisco Bay Area for 15 or so years. I was moving back. I had a band out there that had put out a 45 on Coal Mine Records, and Coal Mine is kind of a popular label. And my guitarist said, hey, you should contact this Sunflower Soul Records in Kansas City since you're moving there. All right, so I wrote info at Sunflower Soul. Hey, I'm Dave. I'm in this band, the Grease Traps from California, and I'm moving to Kansas City. 20 minutes later, I get an email from Chris. He's like, hey, I know your band. I have your 45. I love it. Let's hang out. So we did. And that's kind of how that came together.
And from that first hangout, we jammed a little bit and we talked about what we like in music, and he kind of cast a vision for I'd love to create a funk soul band with 3 female singers. And that's where it came from. I said, you got to be crazy to find 3 singers. It's hard enough to find 1 singer. And then, it kind of organically came together the way that it did. And I always say, for better or worse, it's your fault.
True.
Well, it's so hard to find that right mix of musicians, personalities, professional goals, and you all come from different walks of life in terms of your musical experience. We said gospel, jazz, funk, indie rock, R&B, musical theater. There's such a wealth of knowledge there, and I know that a lot of you have family members that have played music, but just being able to find that right mix with 9 members is a huge feat, I feel like it's a very magical combination, and I wonder if you all feel that chemistry when you're writing or in the studio on stage.
Absolutely. It's 9 of us, and I always think about how dedicated we all are and how much we believe in this band, because I don't know another band that gets together every week unpaid in the middle of everything going on, and we always find a way to get together and work on music, writing sessions. We are dedicated and we believe in this band.
And I always feel better after we get
Yes.
together.
Yeah.
It'll be a long time during winter and we're all humming through life and just getting everything done. And we're like, okay, let's check this rehearsal off. I'm showing up. But then within minutes, we're all laughing and we're like, man, I really like you guys.
Yeah, the group chat is very entertaining.
It's not.
That's
we're
all I'm
gonna
gonna
not do that. We're
Said that we're going to keep it PG, guys. I think that, I'm sorry to jump, but I think all of that speaks to how much we love each other, how our band, our members, our music is all rooted in love. And so when we're writing, when we're arranging, which you asked about, which we didn't answer, we're thinking about where people fit in to each song and how people fit in, what their strengths are and how their strengths can shine through each song. For example, the last song we played today, Don't You Want to Love Me, Paula's got range, like range. But one thing that I think, she's asked to, because she can kind of belt and get gritty and all that, she's asked to do that a lot. And it's amazing and it's powerful, but we don't often get to see her more sensitive side.
I'm still a thug. Don't listen.
But you can talk about how you got to sing in a way that you don't usually get to sing on that song.
That is very true. And thank you for the compliments. That's so kind. That speaks to, I think, this band and the type of people that are in here. Like, we're really humble people. Like, we're really goofy. I think people think, oh my God, they're serious musicians. No, we're not. We're serious about our music, but we're also silly and fun. But yes, I got a chance to kind of do something different with my voice, and I appreciate the band for not always being like, okay, you always sing these kind of songs, and we do that with all of the singers. Like, there's no lead singer in this group. There's the three singers, and depending on the song. You didn't get to hear Sean tonight. Make sure you're at the show, because you will get to hear Sean. Sean was Effie in Dreamgirls, if anybody didn't know that. I just want to make sure you know. Yeah, that's the kind of voice we're dealing with here. So anyway, quick plug. May 2nd, be there.
Oh, yes, and we switch songs a lot too. I'm learning a lot because I do have a music theater background, what my voice does on a stage, music theater, versus what we do here. And sometimes my voice doesn't fit a certain song, or I have to ask for help. And when we kind of listen to each other and blended our voices together, it's a lot of work. I enjoy it.
Last piece. In writing songs, since you asked, when we're writing songs, I think it's cool that we can actually hear the person whose voice fits on that. Like, it's never like, oh, I want to do it. It's like, no, I hear the song and I know, oh, that's a Seiko song, or that's a Sean song. And it's cool that we can all agree on that. There's no like ego. It's just, what's best for the song? I already hear it. Let that person sing it, and then we cheer them on.
Yeah, and I think that really comes through, like the humility that you talked about. There's nobody that's in charge, It's like everybody's very honed in on each other's strengths and each other's identity, what everybody wants to do and how everybody wants to shine. And I think that's a huge part of what makes you a great band. You're listening to 90.9 The Bridge, and we are here with the Freedom Affair. I've got a couple more questions for you. You had talked a little bit about the message of love that you spread through your music, and from what I read, that was kind of an organic thing as well. Like, it wasn't necessarily like, hey, we're going to go out and write protest music, or we're going to go out and speak on social justice or things like that. But you had also cited something about the Staple Singers, a great band that was not necessarily trying to be a protest band, and yet they became like the voice for the civil rights movement. And the way that you embody your music as well, just in how you carry yourselves, that really comes through. I think that's a big element of what makes your live show so great. And speaking to the singers first, you all are kind of that direct point of contact between the band and the audience, and so you convey these messages through your personalities, through your words and your melodies. But I'm curious about, like, how do you embody that through, like, vocal inflections, harmonies, crowd interaction?
I knew it.
Dr.
They're gonna make-
Saunders?
That's
they
her nickname
always-
is Dr. Saunders. Because
Always
when
do
we
that.
talk about having the range,
we're like,
you know, we look to her quite
Paula.
a bit.
They do that a lot. Crowd interaction. Oh, Paula, what are we doing? So I think a lot of it comes from just our lived experience as Black women. It's no secret. You're looking at us, you know. And the type of things that we're singing about, we're singing what we know, you know. Sorry, I don't know if anybody didn't know. But the goal here in all of these shows is about togetherness. It's about oneness. It's about love. It's about this experience in here together, because I think the most universal language is music. You might not speak the language, but you can hear that chord and you feel something. And that's what we're trying to do, invite everybody into that experience. So when we're singing the songs, we're thinking about the words that we're singing and we're conveying them. You know, we're letting that emotion, you're watching us feel the song because we want you to feel it too. You know, you're watching us rock because we want you to rock. You know, and so each song kind of has that emotion in it, and we are letting that come through us because we want to connect with you. And if you're in the building and in the room with us, chances are you're going to. I mean, that's what happens at our shows. We watch people, you know, they're grabbing hands, they're holding hands, they're crying together, you know, it's a whole experience. And so that's our goal every time we get on the stage. Yes, we like the music. Yes, we're having a good time, and we're happy to see everyone here. But we want you to be in this experience with us. We want you to walk out and go, wow, I felt something today. Hopefully it changes you. It changes your life. It makes you want to be kinder to people, share love with people, and come back and do the show with us again sometime.
And I will add that singing a lot of these songs, I'm singing from where I am in life at that point. So a lot of those tears in the audience, we're also, you know, kind of in touch with the messages and dealing with whatever in life. And we come from a very like raw place, I think. And I think it's just natural for the three of us. We share one of the highest compliments the Threedom has received, in my opinion, is, are you guys related? And it was actually when Sean first joined the band. It was maybe her first or second gig. And I remember within like the same week, we were approached at different gigs, and they would be like, are you guys related? And I was like, that just really touched me. So I just think just the natural relationship we have and our ability, thankfully, to share our feelings and ground ourselves in every song. We really want to mean what we're singing. We really want you to feel it, and we really just, I think it's maybe an integrity thing. We don't want to be on stage giving you something fake. Yeah. So for whatever it means for us at the time, sometimes, you know, to be honest, we kind of struggle through some of the songs sometimes because they touch on a nerve, maybe something that we're dealing with at the time. I know for me personally, I've been through a lot, you know, since we joined, you know, and as a band, and these guys have gotten me through a lot in life. And so just that shared experience really, you know, makes it something that's honest.
There's this great video conversation that the three of you have up on the Freedom Affairs YouTube, and you did it, I believe, for Black History Month. But there was something that you said in there, Seiko, that really, really just resonated with me in terms of like how you all operate. And you said that you wanted to help people be in touch with their souls and help them feel free to be who they are. Something about your music that, for me personally, it's always hit at the right time. You know, Freedom is Love came out in 2020 while we were all isolated during the pandemic, and it was something that made me feel a lot less alone. And this album, you know, it's coming at a time where people are being silenced for their beliefs, for their gender, for their skin color, for so many things, and you all provide this balm of joy, empowerment, positive change, and you know, we maybe touched on this before, but do you like feel a responsibility when you're on stage to kind of provide that, to be there for people in that way?
I think so. I mean, a lot of the energy that we have on stage, the audience makes it easy for us. I will say, from our first gig at this little sardine can of a room at the ship, it's the old OG room as they call it now, everybody kind of squeezed together at our first gig, and they really leaned into our music. It was incredible. And I remember sitting at the edge of the stage feeling like something magical just happened here. And we all just kind of sat there and looked at each other. There were tears in our eyes. And so it wasn't just us, it was, the listeners. It was the people who show up for us who really understood us and felt us, and to write a song for people and for them to just understand it to the point of tears and laughter. I think that already sets up a connective experience for people and for us. So it's just this process of you're giving to us and we're giving back to you. And something about this music, I mean, thank you, Michelle, for saying how the album at a certain point in time kind of made you feel less alone. I think we feel less alone, and we like how we kind of feel that way with our audiences.
Yeah, and as artists, as live performers, it is that reciprocal experience. Like, we're getting back as much from the audience as they're giving, as we're giving to them. How is that different than other projects you've been in terms of the interaction with the crowd and what that gives to you?
Okay. Is it on me now? Okay. I think so. I think with other projects, sometimes those are kind of short-lived, So it's this. Like if I'm in a wedding band, I'm here for that wedding reception. I'm gonna give them all I got, and then I won't see those people again, and that's fine. But this project, we've been together since 2018. I'm not the historian of the group. 2018.
But I think 17.
2017. Okay, so a long time. We've been together for a while, and this is an ongoing thing. We've grown together. We've evolved together, as Seiko was speaking to. We've spent time together and all of that kind of thing. And so that's a totally different experience when it's a full-fledged relationship, all of us. And for better or for worse, we're in this thing. And if you take one piece away, you can feel the difference. Like this, it's something's off. We're missing somebody. And I think because our audience keeps coming back, like when we have our shows, we take this moment during the show and say, hey, how many of you are seeing us for the first time? And we get a bunch of hands up, and that's great. And then we say, okay, family that's been here, let me hear you. And it's all these people who have been seeing us, and they keep coming back and keep coming back. That's special because you've heard the music, and yet you want to come back for that experience. So that is going to shift how we respond to them. Now we're amongst family plus new friends. We're going to give them all we got.
I think that what we write about, and you mentioned it came together organically, which it did. I mean, it was, we got together in 2017, and if we all think back to we might not want to think back to 2017, but, the world was a similar dumpster fire as it is right now. But I think that's just where our hearts were, right? Is writing, we write soul music. And why write soul music unless you're writing it from your soul, unless you're being vulnerable and sharing a part of what you feel with the world. So we share what we feel through our music. And I think that's different than any other band I've been in. I've played in funk bands and, we rock the party and all that, and it's great. But being in a band where everyone is willing to be as vulnerable as we are when we write and play our music this is the first time I've ever been a part of that. I don't know that I ever will again. But
I'd also say that for me personally, over my career, generally I've been a band leader, and it's been my vision on certain projects over the years. And this is the first time that I've been part of a real collective where everybody has a voice and has a thing, and everybody's thing is respected. And it's been a great exercise for me in not being a control freak.
Yeah.
facts.
I think that also speaks to something, though, because everybody in this band has their own thing. Like I mentioned, Blacklight Animals have their own thing. Pete plays behind Al Green, and he's doing his own thing. Broadway Brett Jackson is going to be somewhere. Is he still here?
Yeah,
he's here.
he's
Oh, my God. But each of us has our own thing, and yet when we get to this, as Chris said, it's a collective vision. It's not, I'm in charge. It's just, I want to see what can we do together, and that's an incredible thing, and you won't find that on every project, so that's what makes it special.
And I will point out, we attend each other's gigs.
Yes,
We
for sure.
sing on each other's recordings. I mean, outside projects. We collaborate outside of this. It's like, how are we not sick of each other at this point? I don't know.
But we're fans of each other.
We're fans of
like,
each other.
I enjoy
Fans of each other.
hearing
I
Very
you
much.
laugh,
play.
cry
Yeah.
through Sean's shows. She's amazing.
So good, so good.
Well, and that was one of the things on that video that I watched. The three of you were talking about being fans of each other, and that was so cool. And I think, Seiko, you also realized that you were at both Paula's first soul gig, and then one of Sean's gigs as well.
Yeah,
Which is so cool.
I love that about Kansas City anyway. So I think I was just being a Kansas Cityan, a music fan, and just stalking. And at the time, I wasn't doing any original music. I was writing songs kind of by myself and hoping and all that stuff, dreaming. And so I was like, well, what's out here in Kansas City? So I started crawling out a little more. And there are people that you see for the first time and you just remember them. And so I do have video footage of Sean doing a Whitney Houston song. And I was like, what? So every now and then I'll post it, just to remind everyone, this, who can do Whitney, and
Sean can.
Paula, I didn't get any video footage of hers, but I was there at her first gig with Lee Langston doing a Jill Scott tribute, and I was like, who's that? And I already knew your brother, Anthony Saunders. I remember the first time I saw him, and so this is a very gifted family. These are very gifted people, and to be able to work with them now, for it to kind of come full circle from being a fan to being a colleague and then back to being a fan. It's like this thing, maybe that's what energizes us, is we admire each other, we respect each other. Chris Hazelton, I remember the first time I met him too. We admire and respect each other, and that just keeps us energized, I think, too.
And I will say I was a huge fan right before I joined. I was like, this Freedom Fair, I have to go see them. I saw them at the ship. I bought a 45 because they sold them. I had nothing to play it on. I was like, this band is amazing! And I just thought it was so cool. So I had to catch myself the first year that I got to be a part of it and to include myself. And I'm like, have you guys seen the Freedom Fair? You have to see them. Oh, right, I'm in it. I can't believe it. And I always feel so great. I'm very happy to be a part of this band.
We're happy you're here.
Yes.
I'm not the redheaded stepchild.
We've talked a lot about the love between all of you and the love that you send out. As you prepare to drop this album, I'm curious what you want your legacy to be as a band.
It's a heavy one.
That was the hard-hitting question.
The one thing that comes to mind is we keep a lot of traditional band music alive, like the sound of a traditional band alive, because a lot of music these days you don't hear all of these instruments. You hear a lot of electronic sounds or drum beats or something, but everybody has a different sound that we bring to the table, and then you can only hear that in history. So it's like you're tapping into history of music and sound, and I really like being a part of that.
I think authenticity, I want that to be part of our legacy. Like Dave mentioned, we write, it's soul music, it's coming from the soul. We didn't go and ask somebody to write this for us. We're talking about stuff we know, we feel it. As you mentioned, that old school, that's the stuff they were writing. The Smokey Robinson song, what? I did you wrong. I mean, he was hurting, You felt that. That guy was sad. And it came through. And so we want you to, that's what I hope our legacy is that people hear it and go, they meant that. They felt that. That's what we want.
I think as far as legacy goes, the records hopefully will live on well past any of us. Mm-hmm. And I think the records are really good. But we also set out from the very beginning to say, whatever we do on a record, we should be able to do that live and do it even better probably on the stage. And so I'm hoping that as people see us perform, that they can think back while listening to the record and say, oh my gosh, that show was insane.
Yeah, as long as, I don't think about legacy. We're having to now that we're being interviewed about our new album. But thank you. I think that if I think about it right now, hearing everyone talk about it, the authenticity is important. and enjoying the process while it's happening for us is the only way that we are able to put out authentic music that means something to anyone. So as long as we love what we're doing, that will shine through in our albums. So, in the minute that we don't, we can't be doing it anymore. So hopefully that's our legacy, is that, we love what we're doing, and we love each other.
Well, I love that, and I want to thank you all again for being here. The Freedom Affairs self-titled second album is dropping on Friday, May the 9th, available for pre-order on vinyl, CD, digital. Thanks again for the early preview of the music. Thank you for chatting with us, and we are thrilled to host you. The Freedom Affair on 90.9 The Bridge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now available on 90.9 The Bridge YouTube.